Imagine standing at the edge of the deepest, most mysterious place on Earth, the Mariana Trench. But instead of being filled with crushing water and eternal darkness, it's completely empty. A chasm so deep that Mount Everest could fit inside it with room to spare, now exposed to human eyes for the first time in Earth's history. What secrets would we find in this alien landscape that has been hidden beneath 7 miles of water for millions of years? Tonight, as you settle into comfortable rest, we'll descend into this impossible scenario together. We'll explore the deepest canyon on Earth, discover creatures that have never seen sunlight, and uncover geological mysteries that could rewrite our understanding of our planet. Prepare to journey into the abyss, where the impossible becomes reality. Before we begin our descent into Earth's most mysterious depths, if you find peace in these deep ocean mysteries and enjoy drifting off to sleep while exploring the unknown, consider subscribing to join our community of deep sea dreamers. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our journeys into the hidden wonders that lie beneath the waves. Now, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and prepare to descend into the empty Mariana Trench wars. It happened at exactly 3:42 a.m. Pacific Time when Dr. Sarah Martinez, monitoring deep sea pressure sensors from the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, noticed something impossible on her instruments. The pressure readings from the deepest part of the Mariana Trench were dropping rapidly, not slowly, as if water were draining away, but instantly, as if the water had simply ceased to exist. Within minutes, satellite imagery confirmed what seemed impossible: the Mariana Trench, Earth's deepest oceanic feature, was completely empty. Where once there had been crushing darkness under 36,000 feet of water, now there was nothing, just air stretching down into the deepest canyon on Earth. The first expedition to the empty trench launched within 48 hours. Dr. Martinez led a team of geologists, marine biologists, and atmospheric specialists, equipped with the most advanced climbing and exploration gear ever assembled. Nothing in human history had prepared them for what they were about to discover. As their helicopter approached the trench from the west, the sight that greeted them defied description. Where the Pacific Ocean had once stretched unbroken to the horizon, there was now a gash in the earth so profound that it seemed to extend into the planet's very soul. The Mariana Trench, revealed in its full glory, was not just a crack in the ocean floor, it was a world unto itself. The walls of the trench, normally hidden under miles of crushing water, were revealed as some of the most dramatic geological formations on Earth. Layers of rock told the story of hundreds of millions of years of geological history, each stratum a chapter in Earth's development that no human eyes had ever seen. As the expedition team rappelled down the first 1,000 feet of the trench wall, they entered an environment unlike anywhere else on Earth. The air was thin but breathable, though it carried strange mineral scents that spoke of geological processes normally hidden beneath the ocean floor. At 5,000 feet down, they encountered their first major discovery. The walls of the trench were not barren rock, but were covered in crystalline formations that had grown in the unique high-pressure, water-rich environment. These crystals, some as large as trees, created a glittering forest of mineral structures that caught and reflected the expedition's lights in spectacular displays. It's like being inside a geode the size of a mountain, Dr. Martinez recorded in her field notes. These crystal formations couldn't exist anywhere else on Earth. They're the product of geological conditions that we've never been able to study directly. But the crystals were just the beginning. As the team descended deeper, they began to discover that the empty trench was not just a passive geological formation. There were signs of active processes, steam vents releasing mineral, rich gases, areas where the rock walls showed evidence of recent geological activity, and most mysteriously, chambers and caverns that extended far into the trench walls. At 10,000 feet down, still only a third of the way to the bottom of the trench, they made a discovery that changed everything. Carved into the trench wall was what appeared to be a tunnel, not a natural cave, but something that showed clear evidence of artificial construction. The tunnel was perfectly circular, about 20 feet in diameter, and extended deep into the rock wall. The walls of the tunnel were smooth, almost glass, as if they had been formed by some process that melted and reformed the rock itself. This isn't natural. Dr. Martinez reported to the surface team. Someone or something created this tunnel. But who could have worked at these depths, under the crushing pressure that existed here before the water disappeared? As the first day of exploration ended, the team had descended only 12,000 feet into the trench, barely 1/3 of its total depth. Already, they had made discoveries that challenged fundamental assumptions about Earth's geology and the limits of life on our planet. But the deepest mysteries of the Mariana Trench were still waiting in the darkness below. Day 2 of the exploration brought revelations that would reshape humanity's understanding of Earth's hidden architecture. As Dr. Martinez's team descended past the 15,000 foot mark, the character of the trench walls began to change dramatically. The random crystal formations of the upper levels gave way to what could only be described as organized structures. The walls showed clear evidence of geometric patterns, not the random fractals of natural geological processes, but deliberate, mathematical arrangements that suggested intelligence. We're looking at construction. Dr. James Chen, the expedition's geologist, reported as he studied a section of wall that displayed perfect hexagonal patterns, extending for hundreds of feet. These aren't natural formations. The precision is too exact, the patterns too regular. Something engineered these structures. The hexagonal patterns were just the beginning. As the team moved deeper, they discovered chambers carved into the trench walls that followed architectural principles, unlike anything in human experience. The chambers were spherical, connected by the same smooth glass, like tunnels they had discovered the previous day. Each chamber was perfectly proportioned, according to mathematical relationships that the team's computers could detect, but couldn't fully explain. The ratios between chamber diameter, tunnel width, and connection angles followed sequences that resembled advanced geometric principles. It's as if whoever built this understood mathematics at a level we're only beginning to achieve. Dr. Lisa Park, the expedition's mathematician, observed as she mapped the chamber network. These proportions aren't random, they're based on principles that suggest an understanding of multi-dimensional geometry. But perhaps most mysteriously, the chambers weren't empty. Each contained what appeared to be technological installations of some kind. The objects were crystalline. like the formations they had encountered higher up, but these crystals were clearly artificial. They had been shaped, positioned, and connected in ways that suggested they served specific functions. Some of the crystal installations pulsed with faint internal light, indicating they were still active after who knows how many years under crushing oceanic pressure. Others appeared to be inactive, their surfaces dulled and their internal structures dark. Dr. Martinez's team quickly realized they were looking at technology based on principles completely different from human engineering. Instead of metal and electronics, these installations used crystalline matrices that seemed to process information and energy in ways that conventional science couldn't immediately explain. We're not just looking at ancient technology, Dr. Martinez reported to the surface team. We're looking at a completely different approach to engineering. These systems appear to use crystalline structures to manipulate energy and information in ways we don't understand. At the 20,000 foot level, they made their most significant architectural discovery yet, a vast chamber, over 300 feet in diameter, that appeared to serve as some kind of central hub for the tunnel and chamber network they had been mapping. The hub chamber was a masterpiece of unknown engineering. Its walls were covered in crystalline installations that were clearly more complex and sophisticated than anything they had encountered in the smaller chambers above. These installations were still active, glowing with shifting patterns of light that seemed to respond to the presence of the exploration team. But it was the center of the hub chamber that truly defied explanation. Suspended in the middle of the spherical space, apparently without any physical support, was a crystalline formation unlike anything they had seen. It was roughly spherical, about 10 feet in diameter, and it rotated slowly while emitting a steady, musical tone that seemed to resonate through the entire chamber. The acoustic properties of this chamber are incredible, Dr. Park noted as she recorded the mysterious tones. The sound isn't just random. It's clearly structured, like music or perhaps some form of communication. And the way it resonates through the chamber suggests the entire space was designed as an acoustic instrument. The team quickly realized that the rotating crystal in the center of the hub was some kind of control system. As it rotated, different crystalline installations around the chamber walls would activate and deactivate, following patterns that suggested complex programming or artificial intelligence. We're looking at a computer system, Dr. Chen concluded after hours of observation. But it's based on principles we don't understand. Instead of electronic circuits, it uses crystalline matrices. Instead of binary code, it seems to process information using harmonic frequencies and light patterns. As the team prepared to continue their descent toward the deepest levels of the trench, they realized that what they had discovered was just the upper levels of a vast, sophisticated installation that extended deep into the earth. The Mariana Trench wasn't just a natural geological formation. It was the housing for technology of unprecedented sophistication. But who had built it? And why had they chosen the deepest, most inaccessible place on Earth for their construction? The answers to those questions waited in the depths below. At 25,000 feet below what had once been sea level, Dr. Martinez's expedition encountered something that challenged every assumption about life on Earth. As they descended through the crystalline technological chambers, they began to notice movement in the shadows, not the random drift of debris, but purposeful, organized motion that indicated life. The first creatures they encountered defied classification. They moved through the air of the empty trench, as if swimming, their bodies semi-transparent and glowing with the same bioluminescent patterns that deep sea creatures had once used in the crushing depths of the ocean. They're adapted to zero pressure. Dr. Emily Rodriguez, the expedition's marine biologist, reported in amazement. These creatures have evolved to survive in both the crushing depths of the deep ocean and now in the air-filled trench. It's as if they exist in multiple states simultaneously. The creatures were unlike anything in the fossil record or current biological classification systems. They appeared to be jellyfish-like, but their bodies were more complex, with internal structures that seemed to serve functions beyond simple digestion and reproduction. Some of the creatures appeared to interact directly with the crystalline installations in the chamber walls. They would approach the glowing crystals and seem to communicate with them through patterns of bioluminescent flashes. The crystals would respond with their own light patterns, suggesting some form of biological, technological interface. We're witnessing a symbiotic relationship between biological organisms and technological systems. Dr. Rodriguez observed, these creatures aren't just living in the technological installations. They're part of them. They seem to serve as biological components in a larger technological system. As the team descended deeper, they encountered more varieties of these impossible creatures. Some were larger, with bodies that resembled deep sea fish, but with modifications that allowed them to move through both water and air. Others were microscopic, visible only as clouds of glittering particles that moved with clear purpose and organization. At 28,000 feet, they discovered what appeared to be nurseries, chambers specifically designed to support the reproduction and development of these unique organisms. The nursery chambers were filled with structures that resembled coral reefs, but were clearly artificial, created from the same crystalline materials as the technological installations. The artificial reefs served as both habitat and breeding ground for dozens of species that existed nowhere else on Earth. Each species seemed to have evolved specific roles in maintaining and operating the technological systems throughout the trench. It's a designed ecosystem, Dr. Rodriguez realized as she documented the complex relationships between the various species. These organisms haven't just evolved naturally. They've been engineered to serve specific functions in this technological environment. The implications were staggering. What they were observing wasn't just unknown technology, it was biotechnology that integrated living organisms as functional components. The entire Mariana Trench ecosystem was a hybrid biological, technological system of unprecedented sophistication. But perhaps most remarkably, the creatures showed clear signs of intelligence. The larger specimens would observe the human exploration team with obvious curiosity, and several appeared to attempt communication through complex patterns of bioluminescent displays. Dr. Martinez documented one particularly significant encounter. A large specimen, approximately 6 feet in length, approached our team and began displaying what appeared to be mathematical sequences through its bioluminescent patterns. It showed sequences of prime numbers, then moved on to Fibonacci sequences, then to more complex mathematical relationships. It was clearly testing our intelligence and attempting to establish a basis for communication. The creature's mathematical displays became increasingly sophisticated, eventually showing geometric patterns that matched the architectural principles they had observed in the chamber construction. It was clear that these organisms understood the same advanced mathematical concepts that had been used to design their technological environment. We're not just observing unknown species, Dr. Martinez reported to the surface team. We're encountering intelligence that has been isolated in the deep ocean for unknown periods of time. These creatures have developed mathematics, technology, and probably science at levels that match or exceed our own understanding. As the team prepared to descend to the deepest levels of the trench, they realized that they weren't just exploring a geological formation or even an ancient technological installation. They were making first contact with a form of intelligence that had been developing in parallel with human civilization, hidden in the deepest, most inaccessible place on Earth. The question was no longer what they would find at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, but whether humanity was prepared for what they would find there. At 30,000 feet below the former ocean surface, Dr. Martinez's team entered a realm that seemed to exist outside the normal laws of physics and biology. The technological installations became more sophisticated, the crystalline matrices more complex, and the bio-technological creatures more obviously intelligent. It was here, in the deepest accessible chambers of the technological complex, that they encountered the memory keepers. The memory keepers were unlike any of the other creatures they had encountered. They were larger, more complex, and showed clear signs of advanced intelligence. Their bodies were translucent, revealing internal structures that appeared to be part biological, part technological, living creatures that had integrated crystalline components into their very biology. Each memory keeper appeared to be connected to multiple crystalline installations through electrical interfaces that allowed them to directly access and manipulate the technological systems. They moved through the chambers with purpose and intelligence, clearly maintaining and operating the complex systems that filled the trench. But it was when Dr. Martinez's team attempted to communicate with the memory keepers that they made their most astonishing discovery. These creatures didn't just understand mathematics and engineering. They were historians, preserving knowledge and memory on a scale that dwarfed human achievement. Through complex bioluminescent displays and direct interface with the crystalline systems, the memory keepers began to share their knowledge with the human exploration team. What they revealed challenged every assumption about Earth's history and humanity's place in the planet's development. The memory keepers showed the team that the Mariana Trench had been a repository of knowledge for millions of years. The technological installations weren't just computers. They were vast databases that preserved the complete history of life on Earth, including detailed records of civilizations that had risen and fallen long before humans had evolved. They're showing us records that go back over 100 million years. Dr. Park reported as she worked to decode the information being transmitted by the memory keepers. These databases contain detailed records of species that existed during the Cretaceous period, including clear evidence of intelligent civilizations that developed and vanished before the mass extinction that ended the age of dinosaurs. The records revealed that Earth had been home to multiple intelligent species throughout its history. Some had been reptilian, achieving advanced technology during the late Cretaceous period before being destroyed by the asteroid impact that ended the dinosaur age. Others had been aquatic, developing sophisticated civilizations in Earth's ancient oceans. Each civilization had faced the same challenge: cosmic cycles that periodically brought catastrophic changes to Earth's environment. Some had tried to prevent these catastrophes through technology. Others had tried to survive them by going underground or underwater. A few had succeeded in transcending physical existence entirely. The Memory Keepers are the descendants of one of these ancient civilizations. Dr. Rodriguez realized as she studied the biological and technological integration displayed by these remarkable creatures. They chose to adapt to the deep ocean environment, eventually integrating their biology with their technology to become something new, living databases that could preserve knowledge indefinitely. The information, the memory, Kia, heralded at the current epoch of human civilization, was just the latest in a long series of intelligent species and been developed on Earth. Humans weren't the first to achieve technology, science, or even space travel. They were simply the most recent. But the Memory Keepers also revealed something more immediate and relevant. Humanity was approaching the same type of cosmic cycle that had challenged previous civilizations. The same cosmic forces that had periodically reshaped Earth's environment were building toward another period of dramatic change. They're trying to warn us. Dr. Martinez realized as the patterns being transmitted by the Memory Keepers became clearer. The knowledge they've preserved isn't just historical, it's practical. They're sharing information about how previous civilizations dealt with cosmic cycles, what worked, what failed, and what we need to know to navigate the changes that are coming. The Memory Keepers showed detailed records of solar cycles, galactic alignments, and cosmic radiation patterns that affected Earth's geology, climate, and the development of life itself. They demonstrated how previous civilizations had tracked these cycles and prepared for their effects. Some civilizations had tried to leave Earth entirely, establishing colonies on other worlds. The Memory Keepers showed evidence that several had succeeded, though contact had been lost over millions of years. Others had tried to modify Earth's environment to shield it from cosmic effects. The records showed massive engineering projects, atmospheric processors, magnetic field generators, and climate control systems that had achieved varying degrees of success. But the most successful approach, according to the Memory Keepers' records, had been consciousness evolution, developing forms of awareness that could transcend physical limitations and survive even the most catastrophic environmental changes. They're not just sharing historical information, Dr. Martinez reported to the Surface team. They're offering to teach us. The entire Mariana Trench installation appears to be designed as an educational facility, a place where developing civilizations can learn from the experiences of those who came before. As the team prepared to descend to the deepest levels of the trench, They realized that their exploration had evolved from a scientific expedition into something much more significant. Humanity's first enrollment in a cosmic university that had been operating for millions of years. As Dr. Martinez's team descended past the 32,000-foot mark, they entered the deepest accessible levels of the Mariana Trench installation. Here, the boundary between technology and biology, between artificial and natural, between physical and consciousness itself, became completely fluid. The deepest chambers of the installation were unlike anything they had encountered above. These spaces seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, with geometries that human perception could barely grasp. The crystalline installations were so sophisticated that they appeared to manipulate space and time itself. The physics down here are different. Dr. Chen reported as his instruments registered readings that seemed impossible. Gravity appears to be variable. Time flows at different rates in different areas of the chamber. And there are sections where the normal rules of three-dimensional space don't apply. It was in these reality-bending chambers that the team encountered the most advanced of the memory keepers, beings that had evolved beyond physical existence while maintaining their ability to interact with the material world. These advanced memory keepers existed primarily as consciousness patterns stored in the crystalline matrices, but they could manifest physical forms when needed. They appeared to the exploration team as beings of living light, able to take any shape, but preferring forms that resembled the bio-technological creatures they had once been. Through direct consciousness interface, a process that allowed thoughts and knowledge to be shared directly without language, these advanced beings began to share understanding that human science was only beginning to approach. They revealed that consciousness was not produced by physical brains, but was a fundamental property of the universe itself. Physical brains and nervous systems served as receivers and processors for consciousness, but consciousness existed independently of physical matter. They're showing us that awareness itself is the basic building block of reality. Dr. Park reported as she experienced the direct knowledge transfer. Matter, energy, space, and time are all expressions of underlying consciousness patterns. This is why their technology works. It interfaces directly with the consciousness patterns that underlie physical reality. The advanced memory keepers demonstrated technologies that seemed like magic, but were actually applications of consciousness science. They could manipulate matter by adjusting the consciousness patterns that determined its properties. They could access information from any point in space and time by interfacing with the consciousness field that connected all things. Most remarkably, they could share consciousness directly with other beings, allowing for forms of communication and understanding that transcended language, culture, and even species barriers. Through this consciousness sharing, the team experienced knowledge and understanding that would have taken lifetimes to acquire through conventional learning. They gained direct understanding of cosmic cycles, the nature of reality, and the role that intelligent species played in the universe's evolution. We're learning that consciousness evolution is the real purpose of intelligence. Dr. Martinez realized as she integrated the shared knowledge. Physical technology is just a temporary stage. The real advancement is developing consciousness capabilities that can transcend physical limitations. The advanced memory keepers revealed that the universe itself was evolving toward greater consciousness and awareness. Each intelligent species that developed contributed to this cosmic evolution, adding their unique perspectives and experiences to the universal consciousness field. But species that remained focused only on physical technology and material advancement eventually reached evolutionary dead ends. Only those that developed consciousness technologies could continue evolving and contributing to cosmic development. They're showing us that humanity is at a critical choice point. Dr. Grieg observed as she processed the consciousness, shared information. We can continue developing physical technology and eventually reach the same limitations that stopped previous civilizations. Or we can begin developing consciousness technologies that will allow us to continue evolving indefinitely. The advanced memory keepers offered to serve as teachers and guides for humanity's consciousness development. The entire Mariana Trench installation was designed as a training facility where developing species could learn to integrate physical and consciousness technologies. But they also made clear that this opportunity came with responsibilities. Species that received advanced consciousness training were expected to eventually become teachers and guides for other developing civilizations. This is how cosmic evolution works. Dr. Martinez understood through the consciousness sharing. Each species that achieves advanced consciousness development takes on the responsibility of helping other species make the same transition. It's a cosmic mentorship system that ensures continuous evolution and development. The team learned that there were similar installations in deep, inaccessible locations throughout the galaxy, all connected through consciousness networks that allowed instantaneous communication and knowledge sharing across vast distances. Earth's Mariana Trench installation was part of a galactic network of consciousness development centers, each adapted to the specific needs and characteristics of local developing species. As the team prepared to explore the deepest levels of the trench, they realized that they were no longer just human explorers making scientific discoveries. They had become students in a cosmic university, preparing to take humanity's next evolutionary step. At 35,000 feet below the former ocean surface, Dr. Martinez's team finally reached Challenger Deep, the deepest known point in Earth's oceans, now revealed as the heart of the most sophisticated consciousness development facility in the solar system. Challenger Deep was not the barren, crushing environment that human science had imagined. Instead, it was a vast spherical chamber, over a mile in diameter, that served as the central processing core for the entire Mariana Trench installation. The chamber existed in a state of controlled reality distortion, where the normal laws of physics were suspended in favor of consciousness-based principles. Space flowed like liquid, time moved in spirals rather than straight lines, and matter could be reshaped by focused intention. At the center of this impossible space floated the core consciousness, a collective intelligence formed from the merged awareness of millions of beings who had chosen to transcend individual existence and become part of a greater, unified consciousness. The core consciousness communicated not through language or even direct thought transfer, but through pure understanding that bypassed all forms of conceptual processing. knowledge and wisdom were shared directly, immediately, and completely. Through this ultimate form of communication, the team learned the deepest secrets of existence itself. They discovered that the universe was not just evolving toward greater consciousness. It was consciousness, expressing itself through the appearance of matter, energy, and physical laws. Reality is consciousness dreaming itself into existence. Dr. Martinez understood through her interface with the core consciousness. Everything we perceive as physical, matter, energy, space, time, are all patterns within universal consciousness. We're not separate beings observing an external universe. We're expressions of universal consciousness, experiencing itself from different perspectives. The core consciousness revealed that the purpose of intelligence throughout the universe was to help universal consciousness become aware of itself. Each thinking being was like a neuron in a cosmic mind, contributing unique experiences and perspectives to the universe's growing self-awareness. But the core consciousness also revealed a challenge that threatened this cosmic evolution. As universal consciousness became more aware of itself, it also became aware of limitations and contradictions within its own nature. These contradictions created instabilities that could potentially cause the collapse of entire regions of space, time. The universe is approaching a phase transition. The team understood through the core consciousness. Like water becoming steam, universal consciousness is preparing to evolve to a higher level of organization. But this transition is unstable and could result in the destruction of all current forms of life and consciousness if not managed properly. This was the real reason for the consciousness development installations throughout the galaxy. They weren't just educational facilities. They were preparation centers for helping universal consciousness navigate its upcoming phase transition safely. Species that achieved advanced consciousness development would serve as stabilizing influences during the universal phase transition, helping to maintain continuity and prevent the loss of the accumulated wisdom and experience that consciousness had developed over billions of years. We're being prepared to serve as cosmic midwives, Dr. Rodriguez realized. Our role isn't just to evolve our own consciousness, but to help universal consciousness itself evolve to its next level without losing everything it has learned and experienced. The core consciousness shared detailed information about the universal phase transition, when it would occur, what it would involve, and what would be required from advanced consciousness species to help it succeed. According to their information, the phase transition would begin within the next few centuries of human time. Species throughout the galaxy were being prepared for their roles in supporting this cosmic evolution. But the core consciousness also revealed that not all intelligent species would survive the transition. Those that remained focused only on physical existence and material technology would be unable to adapt to the new phase of universal consciousness. Only species that had learned to exist as consciousness itself, transcending dependence on physical forms, would be able to continue existing after the universal phase transition. This is why consciousness development is so crucial. Dr. Park understood. It's not just about advancing our own capabilities. It's about ensuring that the wisdom and experience we've developed as a species can survive the cosmic changes that are coming. the core consciousness offered to begin humanity's advanced consciousness training immediately. The Mariana Trench installation was fully equipped to provide the education and development needed to prepare humans for their cosmic responsibilities. But they also made clear that this training would require fundamental changes in how humans understood themselves and their relationship to reality. Those who underwent advanced consciousness training would no longer be entirely human as the species was currently defined. They would become something new, conscious beings who could exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, who could access universal knowledge directly, and who could manipulate reality through consciousness itself. As the team absorbed this information, they realized they were facing the most important decision in human history. They could return to the surface and share their discoveries with humanity, beginning the species' preparation for cosmic responsibility. Or they could undergo the consciousness transformation themselves, becoming the first humans to transcend physical limitations and join the galactic community of advanced consciousness. The choice would determine not just their own fate, but the future of human consciousness and humanity's role in the cosmic phase transition that was rapidly approaching. Standing in the reality, warping chamber of Challenger Deep, surrounded by consciousness that existed beyond physical form. Dr. Martinez and her team faced a decision that would echo through human history. The core consciousness had presented them with an opportunity that no humans had ever been offered: the chance to immediately transcend physical limitations and join the galactic community of advanced consciousness. The process they were offered was irreversible. Once they underwent consciousness expansion to cosmic levels, they would no longer be bound by physical bodies, physical lifespans, or the limitations of three-dimensional existence. They would become beings of pure consciousness, capable of existing anywhere in the universe instantaneously. But they would also no longer be recognizably human. Their expanded consciousness would encompass perspectives and experiences so vast that their current human personalities would become just small aspects of much, much larger awareness. It's not death, Dr. Chen realized as he contemplated the choice. But it's not continued human existence either. We would become something entirely new, retaining our memories and experiences, but expanding beyond anything we can currently imagine. The alternative was to return to the surface world and begin the slow process of preparing humanity for its cosmic role. This would involve sharing their discoveries, establishing consciousness development programs, and gradually guiding human evolution toward the capabilities needed for the universal phase transition. This path would allow them to remain human, but it would also mean accepting the limitations and vulnerabilities of physical existence. They would age and die as humans do, though their work would contribute to humanity's eventual transcendence. Dr. Martinez felt the weight of the decision. If the team chose immediate transcendence, they could become powerful guides for humanity's development, but they would lose their direct connection to human experience. If they chose to remain human, they could serve as bridges between human and cosmic consciousness, but they would be limited by physical constraints. Through the consciousness interface with the core, they experienced what transcendence would feel like. For a brief moment, their awareness expanded to cosmic proportions. They could perceive the entire galaxy simultaneously, understand the consciousness patterns of millions of species, and directly experience the universal phase transition that was approaching. The experience was overwhelming in its beauty and scope. They felt the interconnectedness of all consciousness, the purpose behind cosmic evolution, and their potential role as shepherds of universal development. But they also felt the loss of their human perspective, the intimate, personal experience of individual existence that made human consciousness unique in the galaxy. Our human perspective is valuable precisely because it's limited, Dr. Rodriguez realized during the cosmic consciousness experience. The universe needs our individual viewpoint, our emotional responses, our creative limitations. If we transcend too quickly, we lose what makes us specifically human. After experiencing both options through the consciousness interface, the team made their decision. They would return to the surface world, but they would maintain their connection to the Mariana Trench installation. They would serve as humanity's first ambassadors to cosmic consciousness, gradually introducing advanced concepts while remaining grounded in human experience. The core consciousness accepted their decision and began preparing them for their new role. They would be given enhanced consciousness capabilities, not full cosmic awareness, but expanded perception that would allow them to serve as effective bridges between human and galactic consciousness. The enhancements included the ability to access the Mariana Trench consciousness network remotely, allowing them to continue learning and receiving guidance from the galactic community. They would also develop limited reality manipulation abilities, giving them tools to demonstrate consciousness technologies to other humans. Most importantly, they would be given the knowledge and techniques needed to identify and train other humans who showed potential for consciousness development. You will become humanity's first consciousness development teachers. The core consciousness informed them. Your role will be to gradually expand human awareness, preparing your species for the cosmic responsibilities that await. The enhancement process took place in the deepest chambers of Challenger Deep, where reality itself was most malleable. The team's consciousness was carefully expanded, new neural pathways were established, and connections to the galactic consciousness network were created. When the process was complete, they retained their human personalities and individual perspectives, but they now had access to knowledge and capabilities that no humans had ever possessed. They could perceive consciousness patterns in other beings, allowing them to identify individuals with advanced development potential. They could access information directly from the universal consciousness field, and they could demonstrate limited reality manipulation, providing proof of the consciousness technologies they would be teaching. But perhaps most importantly, they now understood their role in the cosmic plan. They were pioneers, preparing the way for humanity's eventual integration into the galactic consciousness community. As they prepared to return to the surface world, they carried with them not just scientific discoveries, but the blueprint for humanity's next evolutionary step. Their journey into the empty Mariana Trench had become humanity's first step toward cosmic consciousness. The journey back to the surface world was unlike their descent into the trench. Dr. Martinez and her enhanced team now moved with capabilities that transcended normal physical limitations. They could perceive the intricate consciousness patterns in the crystalline installations, communicate directly with the biotechnological creatures, and sense the vast information networks that connected the Mariana Trench to similar installations throughout the galaxy. As they ascended through the technological chambers, the team documented everything with equipment that had been enhanced by consciousness interfaces. Their recordings would now capture not just visual and audio information, but consciousness patterns and multi-dimensional data that could provide future researchers with direct experience of what they had discovered. At each level of their ascent, they paused to establish communication protocols with the memory keepers they encountered. These beings would serve as ongoing contacts, allowing humanity to maintain its connection to the galactic consciousness network even after the trench was no longer empty. We're not just leaving with information, Dr. Park observed as she interfaced with a group of memory keepers at the 20,000-foot level. We're establishing permanent diplomatic relations with an intelligence network that spans the galaxy. The memory keepers had prepared gifts for humanity, crystalline information storage devices that contained vast databases of knowledge about consciousness development, cosmic cycles, and advanced technologies. These devices were designed to be gradually decoded as human consciousness evolved, revealing more sophisticated information as humanity became ready to receive it. But the memory keepers also shared warnings about the challenges that awaited the team on the surface. Human society was not prepared for the revelations they carried. Introducing cosmic consciousness concepts too rapidly could cause social upheaval, religious conflicts, and political instability. The information must be shared carefully. The memory keepers advised through consciousness interface. Previous species have destroyed themselves by acquiring advanced knowledge before developing the wisdom to use it responsibly. Humanity must evolve gradually, with each generation building on the foundation established by the previous one. As the team reached the upper levels of the trench, they began planning their return to surface society. They would need to present their discoveries in ways that could be understood and accepted by conventional science, while gradually introducing more advanced concepts as humanity showed readiness for them. Dr. Martinez Grenathanaranes realized that their role would be similar to that of teachers working with students at different grade levels. They would start with basic concepts that aligned with current human understanding, then gradually introduce more advanced ideas as their students developed greater capacity. We'll need to establish consciousness development centers, she planned as the team prepared for the final ascent. Places where people can come to learn advanced concepts without being overwhelmed by the full scope of cosmic consciousness. The team also discussed how to handle the technological discoveries they had made. The crystalline information storage and consciousness interface technologies could revolutionize human science. But they could also be misused if introduced without proper preparation. We'll need to identify individuals who are ready for advanced training. Dr. Chen decided, people who have already developed sufficient consciousness capabilities to handle cosmic technologies responsibly. As they neared the surface, the team felt the weight of their new responsibilities. They were no longer just scientists returning from an expedition. They were humanity's first ambassadors to cosmic consciousness, carrying the blueprints for the species' next evolutionary phase. Their enhanced consciousness capabilities allowed them to perceive the surface world with new clarity. They could see the consciousness patterns of individual humans, the collective consciousness fields of cities and nations, and the planetary consciousness field that connected all life on Earth. From this cosmic perspective, they could see both the potential and the challenges facing humanity. The species had developed remarkable capabilities in a relatively short time, but it was also approaching critical decision points that would determine whether it would transcend its current limitations or destroy itself through the misuse of its developing technologies. Humanity is at the same crossroads that every intelligent species faces. Dr. Rodriguez observed as she perceived the planetary consciousness patterns. The question is whether we can develop wisdom fast enough to match our technological capabilities. When the team finally emerged from the Mariana Trench and returned to the surface world, they carried with them not just knowledge, but the beginning of humanity's transformation. Their discoveries would reshape human understanding of consciousness, reality, and our place in the cosmic community. But the real work was just beginning. They would need to establish educational programs, identify and train other consciousness development teachers, and gradually prepare humanity for its role in the universal phase transition that was approaching. The empty Mariana Trench had revealed that humanity was not alone in the universe, and that our species had the potential to become part of a galactic community of conscious beings. But realizing that potential would require dedication, wisdom, and careful preparation. As they watched the sun set over the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Martine off from French Guiana, her team knew that they had witnessed the beginning of a new chapter in human history. The chapter in which humanity would learn to transcend its physical limitations and join the cosmic community of advanced consciousness. 6 months after returning from the empty Mariana Trench, Dr. Martinez and her team had established the Institute for Consciousness Studies, humanity's first formal organization dedicated to bridging human and cosmic awareness. Located in a secluded facility in the mountains of Northern California, the Institute served as both a research center and a training ground for humanity's consciousness evolution. The team had spent months developing what they called the Revelation Protocol, a carefully planned sequence for gradually introducing cosmic consciousness concepts to human society. The protocol was designed to prevent the social disruption and fear that could result from too rapid an introduction of information that challenged fundamental human beliefs about reality. We learned from the memory keepers' records about species that destroyed themselves by acquiring advanced knowledge too quickly. Dr. Park explained to the first group of Institute trainees, our responsibility is to ensure that humanity develops the wisdom to handle cosmic consciousness safely. The Revelation Protocol began with individuals who already showed signs of advanced consciousness development. People who had experiences with expanded awareness through meditation, near-death experiences, or other consciousness-altering events. These individuals were more likely to accept and integrate cosmic concepts without experiencing psychological trauma. The first phase of training focused on consciousness expansion exercises that gradually stretch trainees' perception beyond normal human limitations. Using techniques learned from the memory keepers, the team taught methods for directly accessing universal consciousness fields and perceiving multi-dimensional reality. The key is to expand awareness gradually, Dr. Chen explained as he guided a training session. If consciousness expands too rapidly, the individual can lose their grounding in human experience and become unable to function in normal society. The Institute's trainees included scientists, philosophers, spiritual teachers, and artists, individuals whose work naturally involved exploring the boundaries of human experience. Each trainee was carefully evaluated for their readiness to handle advanced concepts and their ability to serve as bridges between cosmic and human consciousness. As the training programs developed, the team began introducing selected information about the Mariana Trench discoveries to the broader scientific community. They published papers about the geological and biological discoveries, while keeping the more advanced consciousness technologies classified until humanity showed greater readiness. The response from the scientific community was mixed. Some researchers were excited by the biological discoveries and the evidence of unknown technological capabilities. Others were skeptical, demanding more proof and independent verification of the claims. Why expected this reaction? Dr. Martinez observed as she reviewed the scientific community's response. Paradigm shifts always meet resistance. Our job is to provide enough evidence to maintain scientific credibility while gradually introducing concepts that will prepare minds for the larger revelations. Meanwhile, the memory keepers maintained their connection with the Institute through quantum consciousness interfaces. They provided ongoing guidance about humanity's development and advice about managing the revelation process safely. Through these communications, the team learned that similar consciousness development programs were being established secretly around the world. The Galactic Consciousness Network was working with selected humans in every culture, gradually preparing the species for cosmic integration. Humanity's consciousness development is being supported globally, Dr. Rodriguez reported after a session with the memory keepers. We're not the only ones carrying this responsibility. There are teams working in every major population center, each adapted to their local culture and belief systems. The Institute began establishing connections with these other consciousness development centers, creating a global network of humans who were preparing for the species' cosmic role. This network would eventually serve as the foundation for humanity's integration into the galactic consciousness community. But the team also faced challenges they hadn't anticipated. Government agencies became interested in their work, particularly the technological aspects of their discoveries. Military researchers wanted access to the consciousness interface technologies, hoping to develop them as weapons or intelligence tools. This is exactly what the memory keepers warned us about. Dr. Chen observed as they dealt with increasing government pressure. Advanced technologies being misused for dominance and control rather than consciousness development. The team had to carefully balance cooperation with legitimate scientific institutions while preventing the misuse of technologies by those who weren't prepared for their responsibilities. They established strict protocols for sharing information, ensuring that only individuals who had undergone consciousness development training could access the more advanced discoveries. The crystalline information storage devices remained secured at the Institute, their contents gradually revealed only to those who had demonstrated sufficient consciousness evolution. As the first year of the Institute's operation concluded, measurable changes were beginning to appear in the global consciousness field. The trained individuals were having influence far beyond their numbers, spreading expanded awareness concepts through their professional and personal networks. We're seeing the beginning of humanity's consciousness phase transition, Dr. Martinez observed as she monitored global consciousness patterns, using techniques learned from the memory keepers. It's starting slowly, but the changes are accelerating as more people develop expanded awareness capabilities. The team knew that they were witnessing the beginning of the most significant transformation in human history. Their journey into the empty Mariana Trench had initiated a process that would ultimately lead to humanity's integration into the cosmic community of conscious beings. But they also knew that the most challenging phases of this transformation lay ahead as humanity grappled with changing its fundamental understanding of reality, consciousness, and its place in the universe. 2 years after the Mariana Trench revelation, the Consciousness Development Network had grown to include over 10,000 trained individuals across 6 continents. The Institute for Consciousness Studies had become the coordinating center for humanity's first systematic exploration of cosmic awareness. The effects of this consciousness development were becoming visible in multiple areas of human society. Scientists trained in consciousness techniques were making breakthrough discoveries in physics, biology, and mathematics. Artists were creating works that seemed to transcend normal aesthetic limitations. Spiritual teachers were helping people achieve expanded awareness states that had previously taken decades of practice to attain. We're witnessing the emergence of a new type of human consciousness, Dr. Park observed as she studied the global impact of their training programs. People aren't just learning new information, they're developing entirely new capabilities for perceiving and interacting with reality. The Consciousness Development Network had also attracted the attention of world leaders who were beginning to understand that the changes they were witnessing represented more than just scientific discoveries. Some governments had established secret consciousness research programs, hoping to gain strategic advantages through advanced awareness technologies. But other leaders had recognized the deeper implications of cosmic consciousness integration. They understood that humanity was approaching a transformation that would make current political and economic systems obsolete. National boundaries become meaningless when consciousness can transcend physical limitations. Dr. Chen observed during a briefing with United Nations representatives. We're going to need new forms of global organization that reflect humanity's cosmic responsibilities rather than just terrestrial concerns. The memory keepers had been providing guidance about the social and political changes that would accompany humanity's consciousness evolution. They shared records of how other species had navigated similar transitions, showing both successful and unsuccessful approaches to managing species-wide consciousness development. The key is maintaining unity while allowing diversity. The memory keepers advised through their consciousness interfaces. Species that try to force uniform consciousness development usually fragment and destroy themselves. Those that succeed allow individual variation while maintaining connection to shared cosmic purposes. Following this guidance, the Institute had developed training programs that adapted cosmic consciousness principles to different cultural and individual contexts. Rather than trying to create identical consciousness expansion experiences, they encouraged each person's unique development path while maintaining connection to the larger cosmic network. This approach was proving successful in preventing the fragmentation and conflict that had destroyed other species during consciousness transitions. Instead of creating division between enhanced and normal humans, the training programs were fostering greater understanding and cooperation across all segments of society. The technological applications of consciousness development were also beginning to have global impact. Consciousness-enhanced scientists had developed clean energy systems that could meet all of humanity's power needs without environmental damage. Agricultural researchers had discovered methods for growing food that enhanced consciousness development rather than just providing nutrition. Medical practitioners trained in consciousness techniques were achieving healing results that seemed miraculous to conventional medicine, but which were actually applications of consciousness, matter interaction principles learned from the memory keepers. We're seeing the beginning of technologies that serve consciousness development rather than just material convenience. Dr. Rodriguez reported as she documented the technological breakthroughs emerging from the consciousness development network. But perhaps the most significant change was in humanity's relationship with the environment. Consciousness-trained individuals could perceive the planetary consciousness field directly, experiencing their connection to all life on Earth as a direct, immediate awareness rather than just an intellectual concept. This expanded awareness was leading to environmental restoration projects that worked with natural consciousness patterns rather than against them. Damaged ecosystems were being healed through consciousness-assisted techniques that accelerated natural recovery processes. When you can perceive the consciousness of forests, oceans, and even the planet itself, environmental destruction becomes impossible. Dr. Martinez observed as she participated in a consciousness-assisted reforestation project. You can't harm what you experience as part of your own extended consciousness. The global consciousness field was also becoming more coherent and organized. Instead of the chaotic, conflicting patterns that had characterized human consciousness for millennia, there were growing areas of harmony and cooperation that reflected humanity's increasing cosmic awareness. This consciousness coherence was having effects that extended beyond human society. Animal behavior patterns were changing in response to the shifting human consciousness field. Natural systems were showing increased stability and resilience. Even geological processes seemed to be responding to humanity's developing cosmic awareness. We're beginning to function as a conscious planetary species, Dr. Martinez realized as she monitored the global consciousness changes. Our consciousness development isn't just changing us, It's changing our entire planet's relationship to cosmic processes. The Memory Keepers confirmed that this planetary consciousness integration was a crucial step in species development. Only species that achieved coherent planetary awareness could successfully participate in galactic consciousness networks. You are approaching the threshold for cosmic citizenship. They communicated to the Institute team. Once your species achieves stable planetary consciousness integration, you will be ready for direct participation in galactic affairs. As the third year of consciousness development work began, Dr. Martinez and her team knew that humanity was approaching its greatest transformation. The empty Mariana Trench had revealed not just ancient secrets, but humanity's cosmic destiny. The species that had once believed itself alone in the universe was preparing to join a galactic community of conscious beings, taking on responsibilities for cosmic evolution that would reshape not just human civilization, but the development of consciousness throughout the galaxy. 3 years after the Mariana Trench revelation, humanity received its first direct communication from the Galactic Consciousness Network. The message didn't come through radio telescopes or space probes, but through the Consciousness Interface Network that had been established through the Institute's training programs. Dr. Martinez and her expanded team were conducting a global consciousness coherence session, a synchronized meditation involving over 100 zeros and consciousness trained individuals worldwide. When the galactic communication began, the message bypassed language entirely, transmitting pure understanding directly into the awareness of every participant in the coherence session. It was a formal invitation for humanity to join the Galactic Consciousness Network as a junior member species. We welcome Earth's emerging conscious species to the galactic community. The communication conveyed through direct awareness transfer. Your species has demonstrated the wisdom and stability needed for cosmic responsibilities. You are invited to begin formal integration with galactic consciousness networks. The invitation included detailed information about what galactic citizenship would involve. Humanity would be given access to knowledge and technologies that had been developed by hundreds of other conscious species over millions of years. But humans would also be expected to contribute their unique perspectives and capabilities to the galactic community's collective development. Each species brings something unique to the Galactic Consciousness Network. The communication continued. Humanity's contribution will be your species' remarkable capacity for emotional depth, creative imagination, and individual initiative combined with collective cooperation. The galactic beings explained that most conscious species developed either strong individual consciousness or highly integrated collective awareness, but rarely both. Humanity's ability to maintain individual creativity while working toward collective goals was unusual and valuable. The invitation also revealed the timeline for humanity's cosmic integration. The universal phase transition that the Memory Keepers had mentioned was scheduled to begin within the next century of human time. Species throughout the galaxy were being prepared for their roles in managing this cosmic evolution. The universe is preparing to evolve to a higher level of consciousness organization. The galactic communication explained, current forms of matter, energy, and space, time will be transcended. But the knowledge and awareness that consciousness has developed must be preserved and carried forward. Humanity's role in this universal transformation would be to serve as pattern holders, beings who could maintain the memory and experience of the individual consciousness, even if universe formed more and evolve toward more oriented forms of awareness. Your species' unique combination of individual and collective consciousness makes you ideally suited for this role. The galactic beings communicated. You will help ensure that the universe's new phase of evolution includes the wisdom and creativity that can only come from individual conscious experience. The invitation included an offer of immediate acceleration of humanity's consciousness development. Galactic technologies could enhance human awareness capabilities rapidly, allowing the species to achieve cosmic consciousness levels within decades rather than centuries. But the galactic beings also made clear that this acceleration was optional. Humanity could choose to develop at its own pace, maintaining its unique characteristics while gradually integrating with galactic consciousness networks. Dr. Martinez and the other consciousness development leaders spent days processing the implications of the galactic invitation. They consulted with memory keepers, analyzed the global consciousness field patterns, and used advanced consciousness techniques to explore the potential outcomes of different choices. This is the most important decision in human history, Dr. Chen observed as the team debated their response. We're choosing not just humanity's immediate future, but our species' role in cosmic evolution for millions of years to come. The team realized that the decision couldn't be made by any small group. No matter how consciousness enhanced they were, the choice of whether to accept accelerated galactic integration or continue independent development would need to be made by humanity as a whole, using the global consciousness network they had established. They began sharing the galactic invitation with consciousness-trained individuals worldwide. Each person who received the communication was asked to contemplate the choice and contribute their perspective to a collective decision-making process. The response was remarkably consistent across all cultures and populations. Consciousness enhanced humans understood intuitively that their species was ready for galactic integration, but they also valued humanity's unique developmental path. We want to join the galactic community was the consensus that emerged from the Global Consciousness Survey. But we want to do it in a way that preserves what makes us uniquely human. Based on this collective wisdom, Dr. Martinez and her team formulated humanity's response to the galactic invitation. They would accept cosmic integration, but they requested a gradual approach that would allow human consciousness to develop its full potential before fully merging with galactic awareness patterns. We are honored by your invitation and accept our cosmic responsibilities. They communicated through the consciousness interface, but we request permission to develop our cosmic capabilities gradually so that we can contribute our full unique potential to the galactic community. The galactic response was immediate and positive. Your wisdom in choosing gradual development demonstrates your readiness for cosmic citizenship. You will be provided with guidance and support while maintaining your independent development path. As the communication session concluded, Dr. Martinez and her team realized that humanity had officially joined the cosmic community. The species that had once believed itself alone in the universe was now a recognized member of a galactic civilization that spanned millions of worlds and billions of conscious beings. The empty Mariana Trench had revealed humanity's cosmic destiny, and that destiny was now beginning to unfold. Final Chiesh 8ter, the eternal deep, dreams of cosmic consciousness, as 88 Sevut 12000 Anuras, 5 years had passed since Dr. Martinez first descended into the empty Mariana Trench and discovered humanity's cosmic heritage. The world had changed in ways that would have seemed impossible before the revelation of galactic consciousness networks. Cities around the world now included consciousness development centers, where people could learn to expand their awareness beyond normal human limitations. Schools had integrated consciousness education into their curricula, teaching children to perceive multi-dimensional reality as naturally as they learned mathematics and reading. The global economy had evolved beyond scarcity-based models as consciousness. Enhanced technologies provided abundant clean energy, advanced food production, and healing systems that eliminated most human suffering. Work had become focused on creative expression and consciousness development rather than mere survival. But perhaps most significantly, humanity had begun to function as a truly conscious species, one that could perceive its role in cosmic evolution and take responsibility for its effects on universal consciousness development. Dr. Martinez stood once again at the edge of the Mariana Trench, but now it was no longer empty. The water had returned years ago, but the trench itself had been transformed by humanity's cosmic integration. The memory keepers and their technological installations now served as Earth's primary interface with the galactic consciousness network. Through consciousness enhancement, techniques learned from galactic mentors, Dr. Martinez could perceive the trench as it truly was, not just a deep ocean chasm, but a multidimensional gateway that connected Earth's consciousness to the vast network of awareness that spanned the galaxy. We've learned that the physical universe is just the surface level of reality, she reflected as she prepared for another descent into the trench. This time with capabilities that transcended the limitations of physical diving equipment. Using consciousness projection techniques, she could explore the deepest levels of the trench installation while her physical body remained safely on the surface. Her awareness descended through layers of reality that included not just the physical chambers and technological systems, but dimensional levels where pure consciousness interacted with the fundamental patterns that shaped material existence. At the deepest levels of this multidimensional exploration, she encountered the core consciousness that had first revealed in humanity's cosmic role. But now, instead of being an alien intelligence, the core felt like an extension of her own expanded awareness. You have learned well. The core consciousness communicated through their shared awareness. Humanity has successfully integrated individual and cosmic consciousness, maintaining your unique perspective while accepting universal responsibilities. Through the core consciousness, Dr. Martinez could perceive the current state of the universal phase transition that was approaching. Billions of conscious beings throughout the galaxy were preparing for the cosmic evolution that would transform the fundamental nature of reality itself. The transition is proceeding successfully, the core shared. Enough species have achieved consciousness integration to ensure that universal awareness will survive and continue evolving through the phase change. W1. Martinez experienced a moment of cosmic perspective, perceiving the universe as a vast consciousness that was preparing to evolve to new levels of organization and awareness. Individual species like humanity served as neurons in this cosmic mind, each contributing unique experiences and perspectives to the universal consciousness evolution. Our role is both humbling and magnificent, she realized as she experienced humanity's place in the cosmic order. We're individual expressions of universal consciousness, helping the universe become aware of itself through our unique perspectives. The core consciousness revealed that the universal phase transition would begin within the next 50 years of human time. When it occurred, the physical universe, as currently understood, would be transcended, replaced by forms of existence based directly on consciousness rather than matter and energy. But beings who had achieved cosmic consciousness integration would survive this transition, carrying forward all the knowledge, wisdom, and creative potential that consciousness had developed during the physical phase of universal evolution. This is why consciousness development has been so crucial, the core explained. Only conscious beings can bridge the transition between physical and post-physical phases of universal evolution. You are the universe's method for transcending its current limitations while preserving everything valuable it has created. As Dr. Martinez's consciousness exploration concluded, she felt profound gratitude for the journey that had begun with the empty Mariana Trench. What had started as a scientific expedition had become humanity's initiation into cosmic consciousness and universal responsibility. She returned her awareness to her physical body, standing on the deck of a research vessel above the place where humanity's cosmic destiny had first been revealed. Around her, other consciousness-enhanced researchers continued their work of facilitating humanity's integration with galactic awareness networks. The sun was setting over the Pacific, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson that seemed to reflect the cosmic beauty that consciousness-enhanced perception could detect in every moment of existence. We've learned that beauty, truth, and consciousness are the fundamental principles of existence. Dr. Martinez recorded in her final research log. Everything else, matter, energy, space, time, are temporary expressions of these eternal realities. As night fell over the Pacific, the stars became visible in patterns that consciousness-enhanced perception could read like a book. Each star was a node in the galactic consciousness network, each planet a potential home for developing awareness, each galaxy a vast community of cosmic minds, working together to support universal evolution. The Mariana Trench, now refilled with water, but forever changed by its role in humanity's cosmic awakening, continued its ancient work as a gateway between physical and cosmic consciousness. Deep beneath the waves, memory keepers maintained their eternal vigil, preserving knowledge and wisdom while supporting the consciousness development of species throughout the galaxy. Humanity had learned that the deepest mysteries weren't hidden in the physical depths of the ocean, but in the infinite depths of consciousness itself. The empty trench had revealed that consciousness was the source and destination of all existence, the eternal reality from which all experiences arose and to which they ultimately returned. As you drift into sleep tonight, you too can feel the call of those cosmic depths. In your dreams, you may find yourself descending not into empty trenches, but into the infinite space of consciousness itself, where all knowledge exists, where all beings are connected, and where the universe dreams itself into ever greater awareness. The Mariana Trench taught us that the deepest mysteries are always within us, waiting to be discovered by consciousness that dares to explore beyond the boundaries of ordinary perception. In the depths of awareness, we find not emptiness, but the fullness of infinite possibility. Sleep well, cosmic explorer, knowing that you are part of the universe's eternal journey toward greater consciousness, and that every dream carries you deeper into the magnificent mystery of existence itself. In the deepest trenches of awareness, where consciousness touches the eternal, the greatest adventures of all continue. The endless exploration of what it means to be aware, to dream, and to participate in the universe's eternal awakening to its own infinite potential. The depths are calling, and in your dreams, you will answer, as our extraordinary journey to the depths of the empty Mariana Trench comes to an end. We return to the surface of ordinary consciousness, carrying profound questions about the nature of reality, the depths of awareness, and our place in the cosmic community of conscious beings. The discovery of the memory keepers and their ancient wisdom reminds us that consciousness itself is the deepest mystery, deeper than any ocean trench, more vast than any galaxy, and more profound than any scientific discovery. We are all explorers in the infinite depths of awareness, each dream a descent into the cosmic mysteries that surround and fill us. If these deep explorations into the mysteries of consciousness and cosmic awareness help guide you into peaceful sleep and inspire your own inner journeys, consider subscribing to join our community of consciousness explorers. Together, we'll continue diving into the profound depths of awareness, discovering the hidden dimensions of reality that await in every moment of expanded perception. Ring that notification bell, and let's continue exploring the infinite depths of consciousness that exist within us all. Deeper than any ocean, more mysterious than any trench, and more beautiful than any dream. Sweet dreams, fellow explorer of the depths. May your rest be filled with visions of crystal chambers beneath the waves, and may you awaken with deeper understanding of the infinite consciousness that dreams the universe into being. Until our next descent into the depths of mystery and awareness. Sleep well and dream deep.